Hello, 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 and welcome back. My name is Magical Jody, and today we are going to talk about the dark side of spiritual awakenings. If you've been around the witchcraft or esoteric community for any length of time, we all know what spiritual awakenings are. And the things we hear are about how we feel lighter and freer and more connected with the earth, how easier our spells go, how more one with the universe we feel. The thing that most people don't talk about is the journey between the starting point and reaching that enlightened kind of sensation. And today I want to talk a bit about that. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been around for a while and have been a devotee waiting for me to return, thank you so much for hanging around. It means so much. I've been doing tons of work, having yet another spiritual awakening. And in my experience, it hasn't taken one, it's taken multiple. So, my name is Jody. I am a witch, an empath, a spiritual advisor. I do all sorts of things. And I want to share my personal experience with this. It's not always easy, the path of enlightenment and being a witch or an energy worker, whichever particular path you go. In my opinion, they all seem to be melded into one. So, my path began when I was 15. I started the path down having my spiritual gifts opening. My experience was I knew things that there was no way I could know. I started having greater intuition and just led down the path into classes and meditation. Life just kind of took me that direction. I kind of tripped my way along versus it being intentional. And I've had a lot of growth over the years, a lot of peace, and a lot of knowledge come my way. Well, over the last year or two, more like two, I found myself having another spiritual awakening. And I remember listening to having a conversation with one of my advisors, someone who's been a great teacher to me along the way. And he said, Jody, you're about to have another spiritual awakening. And I rolled my eyes like, okay, well, I've already had several. What are you talking about? I'm kind of there. You know, ego got in the way. And next thing you know, the world is tripping me up. And I want to talk about that because it's a normal part of a spiritual awakening. And honestly, I wasn't really aware of that until I watched Christina Lopes. If you are not familiar with her, I'm going to tag her down in my description so that you can go find her. I find her to be extremely helpful, wonderful. She explains things in ways that I don't have the ability yet, and I strive to. And I was in the middle of things just completely falling apart, even though I was doing all of the work. And it was watching her video that it started to click that, oh, this is part of the process. So again, if you are struggling or if you had those struggles, please hang out with me and watch. So roughly 2 years ago, it was my birthday, and a friend helped me start my YouTube channel. I am extremely grateful to her. We have parted paths. I was not doing well, and things kind of went sideways. In my growth, I never, ever, ever grow pretty or gracefully. It is always humiliating and hard, and I'm like a tsunami taking out just this wide swath of destruction. But what comes out of that is always so beautiful and so strong. For me, this time around, I needed to do deeper work. I needed to do deeper shadow work, and I'm still doing it. I was led into deep depression, and I needed to find my way out of massive anxiety. I needed to work my way out of agoraphobia that I didn't realize I was experiencing. And I needed to do some trauma work that's been long waiting. And how does this tie into spiritual awakening? The spiritual awakening, all of the work I was doing as a witch. I was taking classes and being certified as a past life regression, to do past life regressions and Reiki masters and multiple different fields, and doing all of this intense work while not giving myself the time and the space to actually let each one of these settle. I think it's pretty common for lots of us to get really excited. And I'm not going to do one, I'm going to do 5 things. And next thing you know, you're cracking at the seams. And that's kind of been my experience all along. Oh, this is good. It's going really well. I'm going to do 9 of these things. And then I'm struggling. So if this sounds familiar, there is a reason that I always preach to slow down. And yet I did it to myself yet again. So here I was in this position of everything around me being insane. I needed to do some codependency work. I needed to learn to set boundaries around my own personal energy, around the relationships in my life, around the people that I chose to bring in, around how I show up in the world. And this was part of my spiritual awakening, those boundaries, learning self-care, learning to say no, learning that it's okay for me to take a step back, put my channel on the back burner for, what's it been, almost a year or the better part of a year, and grow, heal, take care of myself. All of these pieces have come together, and slowly I've watched the pieces come, and I've found community again. Others who are like me and understand where I'm coming from, and that level of growth and that level of struggle, and the type of witchcraft I do, the type of energy work I do, the combination of how that works, the reminders in life to actually use the tools that I have to sit back and do the tapping that I've learned and that I teach others to actually slow down, and when I'm in the midst of panic to actually slow down, stop, breathe, and Jody, you have these tools. Spiritual awakening is a journey. It's not a once big shining light, this explosion of change. It's a journey. I don't think I'm completely there yet. It wouldn't surprise me if along the way I have another spiritual awakening. I don't think it'll be as drastic as this one was. I think it will be more in calm, smaller ways because I'm learning. I'm learning to slow down. I'm learning to be patient and tolerant with myself and to take those breaks when I need them. Each of us grows in different ways and has different areas that we need to grow in. Our spiritual awakenings look different for each of us. My very first spiritual awakening was that bright, shining light of having awakened powers, of being able to manipulate energy better, to be able to see things, to be able to do all of those magical, psychic kind of things that we strive for. That was the first gift that kept me going down the path so that I could reach this point where I can genuinely genuinely grow and heal and be there for others in a way that I haven't been able to show up authentically for myself and others. In my personal life over the past year, we've had major addiction issues in my home and near divorce. And we've moved, change of friends, family issues with real serious illnesses, and finding the inner calm to deal with those and show up every day. And for me, I had to put everything on the back burner while I did the hands-on work of growth. And that means getting myself back in therapy, doing the writing, starting really simple with 5 minutes of meditation, sitting down and knitting for a couple of minutes at a time because that's all I could handle. The little tiny things that bring me back to calm and center. And this spiritual awakening was about learning me and boundaries and calm, my value. And it's okay for me to not be okay. It's okay for you to not be okay. It's okay for you to struggle. It's okay for you to hurt. It's even okay for you to make a wild ass of yourself, because there are those people who will still love you and support you. And those who don't aren't your people. I want you to hear that through and through. 22 years ago, I had a dear friend put his arm around me. I was in the midst of all kinds of growth and change and struggle. My mental health was questionable at best, although I was heading towards the better side of that, getting my meds better and all of learning the skills. And he wrapped his arms around me and he gave me a knuckle on top of my head and he said, "Jody, I love you, you effing nutball." And that was, I love you no matter how you are. You show up any way you are because you are loved and accepted. And I want you to know that in your life, if you don't have that, someone is waiting to be there for you. And that is part of that spiritual awakening. I was judged very harshly by some of the people on YouTube. And that's okay. That's okay. They aren't my people. They're not safe. And I don't want to be around them. And that's okay. And that was part of my growth of learning who my people are and sorting that out and figuring out who my tribe is and how to set boundaries and how to find those safe connections and how to reach out and ask for the support I need and how to cut out the people who aren't good for me. Spiritual awakenings come in all shapes and sizes. So if you're still here watching this 14 minutes in, thank you so much. If you resonate with any of this and you want to talk about the new moon coming in Gemini, because I'm a Gemini, and crystals and Reiki and healing and spells, please subscribe. Please come back. That's what I want to be. That's what this space is for, is the real life of a real witch and what that looks like. And it's not always easy. It's not always shiny. It's not always pretty. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's heartbreaking and vulnerable. And I can't be anything other than real. That's who I am. So thank you again for being here and for watching. And drop me a birthday cake emoji, because my birthday was on Wednesday, if you've made it clear through. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.